Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Mkasa and today we are going to discuss a paper on strategic heterogeneity in the global mining industry. To break it down, we are going to look at the keywords, the introduction, the various constructs that have been discussed and summarized, which are strategic homogeneity, heterogeneity, strategic groups, variety and performance. Uh, then shortly we'll discuss the data collection and methodology, uh, which will lead us to the conclusion and the application to the Canadian economy. Some of the keywords that are used, corporate strategy. And with corporate strategy, this is what encompasses a firm's corporate actions with the aim of achieving the company's objectives, at the same time achieving a competitive advantage. We have mining, which is the extraction of valuable minerals or other geological materials from the earth, usually from an ore body, a vein, a seam, a reef, or a placer deposit. Exploitation of these deposits of raw material is based on the economic viability of investing in various things like equipment, labor, energy to extract, refine, and transport the materials to the final destination of people who would want to use them. When we talk about globalization, this is a process by which businesses or other organizations develop international influence or start operating on an international scale. And lastly, we'll look at what emerging markets are. These are countries that have some characteristics of a developed market, but are not yet a fully developed market. The mining industry is global in nature in that it's characterized by the largest companies from various countries, both developed and developing. This is perhaps not surprising given that economically viable mineral and metal deposits are distributed worldwide. We have 26 large mining companies in the world, and these come from 10 different countries, of which 5 were developing countries. These 5 countries accounted for 6 of the largest 26 farms. At the same time, several farms whose headquarters were in developed countries essentially conducted all of their operations in developing countries. In this article, we analyze strategic choices made by the world's largest mining firms. This is done from the perspective of the literature on strategic heterogeneity, that is the degree to which a firm's strategy matches or deviates from the strategies of competitors. And this is of particular interest in the mining industry, where the question arises as to whether such a geographically diverse set of firms make similar strategic choices and what the consequences of these choices are for both the firms and the nations that are undertaking this mining. One group of scholars holds that strategy is generic and largely determined by the environment, hence resulting in more strategic homogeneity. Another alternative view argue that strategy is unique and emanates from the skills or activities in which the firm excels, hence resulting in strategic heterogeneity. It's on that note that we are now going to delve deeper into the theories and the constructs that have been expounded by the scholars. As previously stated, strategic heterogeneity is the degree to which a firm's strategy matches or deviates from strategies of competitors. It is of keen interest in the mining industry, like we said, where a question arises as to whether such a geographically diverse set of firms make similar strategic choices and whether these choices affect corporate performance. 4 theoretical explanations suggesting why the strategic behaviors of farms should be the same have been advanced. The first is drawn from the perfect competition model in neoclassical economics, where homogeneity among farms in all aspects of production, except for scale, is assumed. That is Safe and Thomas, 1994. Given the standard set of assumptions about the environment in which the farm operates, many farms which have identical products and technology, free entry and exit, the only choice left to the farm is to set an appropriate output quantity based on the market price. The second explanation for strategic homogeneity is the industrial organization theory, which is a basic tenet that states that the structure of an industry dictates the conduct of the industry's buyers and sellers, which in turn determines economic performance of the industry. The third explanation is the institutional theory. DiMaggio and Powell, 1983, argued that the interconnectedness of organizations facing similar environmental conditions results in the organizations becoming more similar over time in terms of their organizational structures, practices, and strategic behaviors, which is known as organization isomorphism. Most industries are characterized by ambiguity and uncertainty, two states which lead to hesitancy regarding the appropriate strategic response. As a consequence, organizations create norms of strategic behaviors, and these tend to diffuse across industries as the strategies of successful firms are imitated by less successful firms, and organizations learn about the norms through industry associations and their network of relationships. Finally, we have strategic conformity, which is explained using efficiency theory. That is, efficient strategies tend to diffuse across organizations. Dobbin and Baum, 2005. For the past 2 decades, according to Porter, 1996, firms have been continuously benchmarking their activities against those of their competitors and adopting technologies and management techniques to improve operational effectiveness. The more firms benchmark each other, the more alike they become. Hence, strategic homogeneity. The second construct is the strategic heterogeneity. And with this, the 3 theories that have been advanced to explain this are drawn from the fields of organizational ecology, evolutionary economics, and the resource-based view of the farm. Organizational ecology theory is built on 2 concepts, a population and a niche. Of course, we know that a population is a collection of organizations with a common form. A niche is a collection of resources that can sustain a population. Based on the characteristics that are held in common, organizations share a common form, share a similar set of survival risks, and similar set of strategic patterns. Firms that choose to be different by pursuing a niche strategy different from that of their competitors usually face less competition for resources. The organizational heterogeneity that emerges reflects the fact that the environment favors some strategies and some resource allocations over others. In evolutionary economics theory, strategic variability among firms is to be expected. Organization routines, especially those associated with the ability to generate and gain from innovation, differentiate one from another. These differences in routines are a result of the diverse decision-making strategies employed by the firm over time and are a source of durable, imitable differences among firms. For example, when a new technology or innovation emerges, individual firms develop different strategies with respect to the technology, and some of these prove to be more acceptable to the marketplace than others, depending on where the farm is. Hence, the organizational heterogeneity that emerges reflects the fact that the marketplace selects certain strategies, companies, and new technologies over others. Lastly is the resource-based view of the farm, which emphasizes that a farm is a heterogeneous bundle of resources, as per Warmefeld 1984, Grant 1991. This can lead to different strategies. The basic premise of the resource-based view of the farm is that the resources and capabilities of the farm, which are valuable, rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable, and for which the farm is organized to exploit, create a uniqueness that allows that farm to appropriate rents inaccessible to their competitors. This rests on two assumptions. Farms within an industry may possess strategically different skills and capabilities. These differences can persist, and farms with strategically different skills and capabilities can be expected to exploit these advantages by implementing farm-specific strategies that differ for those of their rivals. In summary, each of the three perspectives on strategic heterogeneity focuses on uniqueness among farms. For organizational ecologists, uniqueness arises from a niche strategy that protects a farm against selection. For the evolutionary economists, innovation is the means by which farms create uniqueness. And for the resource-based view of the farm, the idiosyncratic capabilities and competences of the farm create uniqueness. We will now talk about strategic groups. Strategic groups are farms within an industry pursuing similar strategies and having similar resources. Hutton and Hutton, 1987. While individual farms may differ in their strategies, such differences are not significant enough to prevent sorting of farms into homogeneous groups. This notion was actually first introduced within the context of the industrial organization model, which, as we noted above, argues for strategic homogeneity. Therefore, strategic groups allow for homogeneity within groups, but heterogeneity across them. We will now talk about the strategic variety and performance. The precise relationship among strategic differentiation, competition, and resulting performance has not been conclusively demonstrated. Miles, Snow, and Schaffman found in the analysis of 12 industries that those industries with the greatest strategic variability were the most profitable. Over time, firms that pursue strategies that are more diverse, we see that the average profitability of the entire industry falls. When the analysis of performance difference moves from the level of the industry to now that of the strategic group, there is evidence that strategic heterogeneity within the group gives rise to performance differences. This review therefore suggests that at the level of the industry, high or low levels of strategic heterogeneity may give rise to higher levels of performance, whereas at the level of the farm, strategic heterogeneity among farms gives rise to performance differences. We now go into the data and methodology. In the data, it's mainly to demonstrate on why farms in the mining industry show little strategic heterogeneity, and also examine why firms, especially in the emerging markets, follow distinctive strategies that are different from those of their global competitors. We will then company websites, annual reports, press releases, and United States Security and Exchange Commission filings were used to obtain data on the mining companies examined in this study. The sample size for the study was 26 largest mining farms in the world, and these are from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, Japan, Chile, South Africa. We have Russia in there, and Australia. Quite a number of companies across both developing markets and developed markets. Uh, in the methodology, we see that they characterize the strategies, and the most common measures of corporate strategy are market diversification, product diversification, farm size, research and development, intensity, and capital intensity. So these measures were selected for this study, and they were grouped together to ensure that the study is comprehensive. Of course, in terms of the measure of performance, accounting profitability was used so that ratios of operating income or earnings before interest and taxes are chosen as a measure of performance for the study. Then we see that data was analyzed, and several methods are used to analyze this data, mainly descriptive statistics, where things like minimum, maximum, mean, and standard deviations and correlations are calculated for the strategic measures. We will then go to the next slide that talks about the conclusions. In conclusion, even within an industry like mining where products are homogeneous and mature and where technology is relatively slow changing, a certain degree of strategic heterogeneity can be observed. And on further scrutiny, especially done for individual firms, a certain degree of heterogeneity is seen. It's also seen that firms from developing countries contribute in large measure to strategic heterogeneity and they are more profitable. Performance differences are associated with differences in strategic choice, and they're also related to other factors like the country of origin of the firm. Lastly, it's noted that the possibility that the future is mergers and acquisitions for especially from developing countries that will help diversify the farms. Canada is recognized as one of the leading mining nations, with mining having started in present-day Canada around the 18th century. Our mineral sector includes exploration, mining, and related support activities, primary processing, and downstream product manufacturing, which is a very key component of the economy of Canada. When we talk about the mining industry in Canada, is it heterogeneous or homogeneous? We clearly can tell Canada being one of the countries that is involved in this study. We know that Canada's mining industry is homogeneous on a larger scale than heterogeneous. And so the fact that it was part of the study, there is not a lot of application we put into it, but just noting the fact that the results show that it is more homogeneous than heterogeneous. And on that note, we will close our presentation. Thank you for listening to me and have a good evening.